Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. And today I'm back to answer a question from another viewer because, as you know, it's my goal to help steer you on your journey to Chap Nirvana. Now today I've received a question from a viewer called Dave Porter, and he says, thanks for opening my eyes to bespoke shoes. Can you enlighten us as to shopping for shoes on eBay? What do you look for? What you should be aware of? How close is sizing to expectations? And that is Dave from Oregon in the USA. Well, welcome Dave. Thank you for dropping me that question. I've been to Oregon a few times. Love the state. One of my favorite holiday destinations in the US. Being plagued by flies here today on this glorious spring day here in the UK. Well, it's a great question from Dave, and I'm pleased to hear that he's embracing, pursuing the joyful art of wearing quality men's footwear, but not paying top dollar for it, because it is absolutely possible to open the door to fantastic quality shoes and boots at a fraction of the price. And I can really attest to that because, you know, I could be described as being somebody who is as tight as a duck's arse. I hate spending money on things that I don't have to, and if I can get something at a reduced price, you will always find me there pursuing it because, you know, I'm on a fixed income. I'm not a wealthy man. I have to, set my standards based on my income level. And whilst I adore wearing high quality footwear, my wallet doesn't always agree with my decisions to purchase. So there are ways to cut corners, and as Dave very rightly says, eBay is the way to go, because I have amassed an embarrassingly large collection of high quality men's footwear over the years, bloody flies, at a very small proportion of the price that they should have cost in the first place. And there are many ways that you can sort of embark upon that journey. So today I'm going to give you some tips about getting the best deals on eBay. Now, my first bit of advice is basically to do some research, to be aware of the brands out there and the options that will be available to you. Because, you know, there are so many different shoes in the quality men's dress shoe category that unless you have an idea of where those shoes you're looking at sit in the sort of pantheon, the hierarchy of quality, you don't really know whether you're going to be bidding on something which is worthwhile or something when it arrives is going to be a disappointment. So my advice is get to know what's out there. Find the shoes which you find yourself attracted to, because all shoes will have slight nuances and differences in style. Find the ones which sing out to you and obviously your potential price point. And then when you've done that research, when you've identified the brands which are out there, which are always, you know, going to sort of elicit your interest, that's when you can embark sensibly within the auctions. Because if you're just going to put in something like, you know, in the search engine, men's brogues, for instance, right, you're going to have 1,001 responses. However, narrow it down and use the brand names and the sizes to sort of get yourself a reasonable collection of shoes which you're likely to be investing upon. Now, my advice to you is, when you've done that, when you understand where shoes fit in the sort of hierarchy, try to go off trend when you're looking for shoes to enter into the collection through an auction site. Because I can tell you now, if you're seeking to buy a pair of Crockett & Jones church shoes, and there are numerous other brands, John Lobbs and so on, Edward Greens, they're always going to be highly attractive because men simply know how much they cost and they're going to try and get a deal, and they're going to go onto eBay, and those shoes are always going to go for top dollar in the auction because people would bid up. I've been there myself. I've watched this happening time and time again. You see a pair of shoes on there, they look a remarkable deal, but by the time the auction ends, you're sort of four-fifths of the way to what would have been a retail price anyway. People get drawn into that auctioneering mindset, keep bidding up. So see what's out there off trend. Now, there are certain brands, certainly in the UK and Europe, which never seem to sell to their true potential for the quality. And they're brands like Sanders. Now Sanders and Sanders, to give them their full title, but generally referred to as Sanders, they're a British brand, heritage manufacturer up there in Northamptonshire, and you know they often manufacture shoes for other brands, you know, by using their branding, putting other branding on their shoes. But Sanders and Sanders make excellent footwear. They're not particularly trendy, but when their shoes come up for auction, you can often get them at a very reasonable price because they don't elicit that bidding frenzy that those very same shoes, if you call them Crockett & Jones, they'd cost 3 times as much. So just be conscious of what you're betting on. Grenson, for instance, another brand, very much off trend, right? It is another heritage manufacturer making excellent shoes. Got a few pairs of their shoes in my own collection, as I have Sanders, and you know they are not in the same sort of tiers of interest to men as Crockett & Jones, Church and so on. You can often get them at a much reduced price, as I have done. Got an example here, I'll talk about them in a moment, but you can get them at a much reduced price just because the name, the brand, isn't that sexy to people at the moment. So know what's out there on the periphery as well. Particularly, you know, when you're looking on auction sites, because you never know what's going to come along. Even brands like Chini. I'm a really big fan of Chini. They're an excellent shoe at a very approachable price at retail. But in the auction sites, you can often get a good deal on them because, again, they're not as glamorous and as heavily marketed as Crockett & Jones, Church and so on. John Lobbs, you know the names, the ones which everybody wants, Carmina and so on. So just think about what's out there and go off trend. Remember, if they're a heritage manufacturer, typically they'll be made here in the UK, in Northamptonshire, they're going to be there or thereabouts in quality, and it's something which you can buy with confidence. Next thing I want to make. Now the next point of Dave's I want to address is he does say what to look out for. What about sizing? Sizing is an important question because not all shoes fit the same. I know I've had different brands. Some are somewhat generous, some are not. Some of the lasts, the sort of molds which are used to manufacture shoes, even within the same brands, are very different. Some are quite generous because they tend to be worn in the cooler time of year, and the manufacturers, just in the design, will put a little bit of leeway in there so that you can wear a thicker sock, because if it's a day-night soled brogue like this one here, the last is quite generous. If you're not certain, do some research. All right, if you're looking at a pair of shoes on the auction site, and say for instance this is a pair of Loke 1880 Birkdales, all right, they're quite popular. They're still, I believe, on the Loke website, but look on the website, see what it says. Do they say a generous last? Do they say true to size? Understand what these indications mean. Generous last would mean there's a bit of leeway in there, presumably to wear a thicker sock, because it's something you often wear in the winter. If it says true to size and you're a size 8, as I am, it's a size 8. It's a true fit. Don't expect it to be a little bit larger. So find out. And if you're not sure, and the shoe that you're looking at is out of manufacture, it's no longer in the catalogue, what I've done in the past, believe it or not, I've contacted the manufacturer, I've rung up the brand or sent them an email and said, look, I'm thinking about buying a pair of these shoes. Can you tell me, is the fit true to size? Is it generous? What's it like? And believe it or not, every single time I've done that, the manufacturers, Loke are particularly good actually, their customer service is amazing, they've always written back and said, yes, this was designed on the 71 country last and it's a little bit generous. So, you know, you can expect it to be slightly large. They keep all of these records in their archives, they're happy to help. Drop them an email, it doesn't cost you a penny, and you can then buy with confidence. Now when it comes to purchasing your shoes, right, particularly from an auction site, they're all going to be sold as seen. So it's super important, critical, that you scrutinize the images that are provided for you. Have a look at them. Make sure, you know, they're all images of good quality, as many images as possible, hopefully, that the seller has uploaded, but really delve in there and have a good look. And always avoid any pair of shoes on eBay which doesn't show imagery of the sole. The sole is the key element when it comes to buying shoes. For me, it's what really determines whether I make a bid on something or not. If there's no image of sole, have nothing to do with them. If you're not satisfied with the images and you're interested, write through eBay to the vendor and ask them, can you upload some more images? Can you send me some more images? Tell me more about the shoe. There's nothing in the world at all about making enquiries with the person selling. And when it comes to the sole, right, this is a really key thing. Have a look at the sole and the imagery that you see on the screen, and make sure that the sole is in fairly good condition, right? What we want to see, I've owned these shoes for a couple of years now, but if you're buying a leather soled shoe, you want to make sure that, if at all possible, if you're buying high quality, right, and this is what you're looking for, that the Goodyear welting, the stitching has not been compromised, it's not worn away or frayed, and the sole is in good condition. That's as much as you can hope for. And there you can be confident to bid fairly reliably on what you're going to get. If you're not sure that the sole's been resold at some point, again, contact the vendor and ask them, is this the original sole? If it isn't, you can make a consideration of whether you intend to bid or not, or the amount that you're going to bid. However, never discount a pair of shoes which looks totally knackered. The reason for this is, imagine this pair of shoes had, a big hole in the sole, right in the middle there. And the images clearly show us this. Now that shoe isn't going to sell for very much money. I may be able to buy it for 20, 25, 30 pounds. Now, when it comes to high quality men's footwear, the upper, the leather on the top, may be absolutely tip top, right? It might be unblemished and perfect. It just so happens that the sole is worn out, because the sole is in contact with the ground, and they do wear out, particularly the leather ones, right? They're going to wear out fairly swiftly. The upper, the leather here, might be perfect. It's got another 20 years in it, but the sole has gone through. Now, the majority of men might well think, oh, I'm not going to bid on that. It needs work. Yes, it will. If you can get that pair of shoes for £20, get them home. If they're, for instance, this is a pair of Grenson. You can send them back to the factory, because I know Grensons do a factory refurbishment service, and they will totally renovate that shoe for you. They'll put a brand new sole on. They'll put a new heel on. They'll likely put a new liner inside. They'll replace the footbed. They'll give you new laces. They'll even refinish the exterior of the shoe. In essence, you will get back a brand new pair of shoes, albeit the leather, is effectively the same, and that will cost you between £100 and £150, depending which brand you go with. I had a pair of shoes refurbished through Cheney's factory refurbishment program last year. I think it was around about £120, and it was a fantastic job. I've got a video for that, actually. Go and look for that one, but it shows you the before and after, and it is essentially like getting a brand new pair of shoes back. So if you're looking at a pair of shoes which original retail price was £500, you buy them for 25 because they look worn out, you send them back to the factory, you invest, shall we say, 150 having that factory refurbishment, you're still only £175 into this pair of shoes, which you would not be able to buy from the retailer for less than 500, and yet they're going to look like brand new. They're going to have brand new soles on them from the original manufacturing factory. That is a worthy investment. So don't just pursue top-end shoes which are immaculate. They're always going to command the highest in the auction. Don't discount those slightly worn out ones, because they can be brought back to life for a very modest amount of money. Now, when it comes to getting into these great shoes as well, on eBay you'll often find factory seconds being sold, and they are great places as well to seek out some shoes at great prices. Now, I've had a lot of luck buying Loke shoes, which are clearly factory seconds. They're advertised as such on the website, on eBay, and it's quite likely that there's somebody with a family connection, or it's a reseller, somebody who's getting hold of lots of factory seconds and selling them through eBay. And I mean, I'll give you an example. This is a pair of, as I said, Loke Birkdale brogues, very classic wingtip brogue, and retail price for these is around about £265. I bought these brand new, immaculate, from eBay. Now, they are clearly factory seconds. I can't find a blemish upon them, I have to say that. I paid £110. They came in the original boxes with the original little bags that they all come in. They were as if I'd walked into a Loke retailer and paid full price, but I paid considerably less than half price. They're day-night sole. There was not a fraction of wear upon them. They were brand new. Don't discount that route as well, because you're getting essentially brand new shoes at second-hand prices. So be open-minded, and when you're looking for these great shoes, there are many routes you can take. Now, quite recently I did a video on attending the factory stores. Here in the UK, we're lucky, we've got Northamptonshire, which is kind of the world capital for men's Goodyear welted shoes. And I visited a number of factories. I've been to Loke over the years, Cheney a few times, Churches, Edward Green, and so on. They are great places if you're trying to get great quality shoes at very reduced prices. Pretty much everything in the store is half retail price. And then if you go there during a sale period, you can get even more money off, maybe 30% off the sale price. So it's potentially able to buy a pair of brand new shoes, elite quality, for 25% of their actual retail price from the factory itself. Obviously, if you're near a factory store, that's something which is open to you. But don't discount it. You know, if you're on holiday somewhere, or your trip through life takes you past that area, don't forget to call in. Put it on your list of things to do, and you can find yourself getting a great pair of shoes at a very modest price. Now, here on the table, as I said, these are factory seconds. Paid about £110 for them. I also bought a pair in black at the same time, which was only £90, and I've been wearing these for quite a few years now. Great quality, fraction of the price. On this side of the table, this is a pair of Grenson wingtip brogues. A little bit, you know, customized, avant-garde, because they've got different materials used. This pair of shoes, as you can see, I've been wearing them for years. They're still only lightly worn. When I originally purchased these, they were as new. I paid £26 for these from eBay, and they were, you know, new stock essentially, but people weren't interested in Grenson. And every time I wear these shoes, I get remarkable compliments from people. So don't think you've got to wear cheap plastic shoes from the supermarket just because you don't have a lot of money. Take that same amount of money, invest it wisely, and don't get hung up on buying second-hand shoes, all right? I've been buying second-hand shoes all my life because my budget requires it. That's the route I have to take. And believe me, you know, there's never been a problem. People often say, oh, the shoe has conformed to the shape of the original wearer's foot. Largely, I don't believe that to be true. You buy a pair of shoes, you wear them a couple of times, it'll conform to your foot if that's your ideology. And don't worry about diseases and leprosy and things like that. If that concerns you, just give them a squirt with some disinfectant, they'll be fine. You do it at the bowling alley, what's the difference about buying a pair and keeping them in your own collection? Within a couple of wears, it's as if they've only ever been yours. So don't discount it, because believe me, you can save thousands of pounds if you're amassing a collection and you're prepared to go down the eBay route. So good luck, Dave. Get out there, get yourself some great bargains, and stride through life with fabulous quality elite footwear, and you will be cutting a dash amongst the others in town. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you've not already subscribed to our Chap's Journey. And if you'd like to contribute to the conversation, leave a comment below. If you'd like to support the channel, of course you can buy us a coffee, or you can even join us as a patron over on my Patreon site, which you will find the links to which in the show notes below. And over there we have additional videos and additional conversations between all of us, which we don't have here on the main channel. So until the next time, take care, wear your shoes with pride, get that polish on there, get a mirror shine, set the world alight with that footwear, and I will see you again very soon.